emotions. The Morgan boys have been using that 600 acres that are really mine. At the mention of that name, old Zim's mouth corners went down. A self-minding silence had been the rule of his life, and all he said now, after a considerable interval, was, "You'll be fencing it in?" Paisley raised his head. "What do you think about that?" "The Morgans are second cousins to the old Springer outfit." "The start of another scrape," said Paisley. "That scrape was started afore you were born. Your dad never ducked his head to any man that breathed. The Springers fought him and hated him. Well, they're all gone. But the Morgans are the same blood, and they despise your name." "Which is why I'm minding my own business," said Paisley. "I was born and raised in warfare, and went to sleep many a night with the sound of gunshots in my ears. Sure, the old man never ducked his head to nobody. And he died one day. Dry gulched. There's the reward of a fighter. Some say 'twas a Morgan that did it." Paisley stared at the older man. "You trying to rib me into a ruckus?" "Well, and what do you propose to do about that land?" "I don't know," muttered Paisley, and erased all the marks on the ground with an abrupt sweep of his hand. He stood up, the calm pleasantness gone from his face, and he strolled over to lean against the stable wall. "But I refuse to be a public killer." Zim stared into the distance, seeing vanished things. "Your dad rode with me against more than one tough nut, and I always felt better having him along. He never bothered about close reasoning. His chores always seemed pretty clear to him. He spoke gentle, played a man's part, kept his conscience clear, and died at 30. Because a lot of so-called friends nudged him into a feud they ought to settle themselves. Otherwise he'd been alive today." "Oh, what of it?" said Zim. He went out smiling, his memories green. "Some men in the world are born to do their hard chores. Your dad figured to be such a man, and he knew it. What's an extra 20 years of living when it's mostly a downhill coast?" "You got a sharp mind, Zim. Never forget a thing, do you?" "Mind is as good as it ever was. I think the same, feel the same." Then the latent rebellion flared forth. "By God, it's a miserable business to peter out by inches. Never mind your dad. He had a satisfying end." Paisley shook his head, straightening against the stable wall. The heat-smothered quiet was disrupted by the rush of 5 horsemen into town and down the street with a violence that sent heavy yellow clouds of dust around him. Zim rose from his haunches and went back to the bench. Paisley's cheeks showed no discernible emotion. These 5 collected by the saloon door, all small, whip-figured men, angular of face, controlled by a nervous impatience. They were alike, and the one who turned deliberately to stare back at Paisley had features common to the others. His eyes, beady and black as the darkest obsidian, were placed close to the sides of a flattened nose, and out of them flashed a vindictive moodiness as violent as any speech could be. The 5 wheeled into the saloon. "If I know a challenge when I see one," muttered Jim. "There it was on V. Morgan's ugly map." "Another sucker," said Paisley. "People consider him tough, so he tries to live up to it." Don't underestimate him or his brothers." They came out again, some plain purpose arranging them in a knot by the saloon porch. V. Morgan put his back to Paisley, scratched a match on the saloon wall. His talk, too obviously meant to reach across the street, was full of irony. "Big cattleman from Chickenfoot Creek's in town, boys. You mean the mighty man scared of his own temper? Ah, that's him. Big silent fellow with a record. What record, V?" V. Morgan wheeled, stepped into the saddle of his horse, and reined around. The jet eyes flicked Thorpe Paisley. "Record for avoiding a showdown." They stormed out, the sun flashing against exposed metal gear. Old Zim's mouth hardened, and he looked at Paisley, standing so still and expressionless against the stable wall. "Seems to me, Thorpe, as if you got to put up that fence as a matter of principle." "Sucker play," grunted Paisley, and walked to his horse. From the saddle he said, "A bullet, Zim, ain't the answer to anything." "Morgans are the same as Springers, and I never knew a Springer to fight fair if he could help it. Remember, your dad got shot in the back."